IVM.
News Kids on the Block. We bring to you stories that top the nation's papers, fresh from the IVM and Ascend International School Desk. Hi, I'm Kavya.
I'm Anya.
And I'm Trivik.
And welcome to this episode of News Kids on the Block, where we give you all the top news updates of the week.
Let's get started with a story we have coming from Ms. Daftary herself on budget cuts. Anya, take it away.
Yes, Trivik, our first story of the day is one of utmost importance to the Indian fiscal year because it is all about the 2022's budget. Okay, so I have some points here. It's obviously the budget is like this very comprehensive, very complicated thing that each year the finance minister announces. And our finance minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, announced it earlier this week. So here are some key points that we have. Firstly, railways, roads, highways, and defense account for more than 60% of our total expenditure. Second, we put in a significantly more allocations towards renewable energy, energy efficiency, green mobility, and green bonds. They are also looking at extending national highways by another 25,000 kilometers by interlinking 5 rivers, auctioning 5G spectrum, and manufacturing 400 new generation Vande Bharat trains. There is also going to be the issuance of e-passports to be rolled out in 2022 to 2023 to enhance convenience for our citizens. This is a really important point. The allocation for education has jumped by 11.86%. They've also announced a number of different schemes that would help, such as One Class, One TV channel program. The PM e-Vidya will be expanded from 12 to 200 channels, and this will enable all states to provide supplementary education in regional languages for classes 1 to 12. There will be virtual labs and skilling e-labs in order to promote critical thinking skills and stimulated learning environment. A digital university will be established with world-class quality universal education. There will be high-quality e-content delivered through digital teachers. Digital ecosystems for skilling and livelihood, or the Desh Stack e-portal, will be launched as well in order to promote online training. And lastly, but not in the least, startups will be promoted to facilitate Drone Shakti for drone as a service. There were also numerous welfare schemes that were launched, such as Har Ghar Nal Se Jal, where 3.8 crore households will be covered in the year 2022-2023. The PM Awas Yojana, where 80 lakh houses will be completed in 2022-23. There will also be an aspirational blocks program for the development of lagging blocks of aspirational districts. The Vibrant Villages program, targeting the development of villages in the northern border, which was not part of the development games. The PM Divine, which will fund infrastructure and social development on felt needs in the northeast. Digital banking by post office, which will be 100% of post offices that will come to the core of the banking system. There will also be digital payments scheduled for commercial banks to set up 75 digital banking units in 75 districts. And the other piece of interesting news that I thought was, this is a quote by the finance minister, which says, and I'm quoting, "Pandemic has brought to the fore the issue of mental health. A national Tele-Mental health program for counseling will be launched. This will include a network of 23 Tele-Mental centers of excellence, with Nimhans being the nodal center and IIT Bangalore providing technology support." And I think that is really important and just crucial that it's been brought into the budget, and it's long awaited. So yeah, these are a few key points that we picked up from the budget, but feel free to read about the budget in more detail because, like I said, these are just a few points and it is very long and very thorough. And with that, we take a short break and meet you right after.
Love fighting?
We've got you covered.
Check out our show, The Fighting Goat, where we, the voices of the internet, Arjun Chipalkatti and Somesh Kamra, bring to you crazy weekly action on your favorite combat show, The Fighting Goat.
Be it commentary, breakdown, predictions, analysis of styles and techniques.
And of course, your round of favorite fighters.
You can listen to us every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, and all major podcast streaming platforms.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block. I'm your co-host, Trivik Hariharan, and I've just had some Royal China, and I'm ready for our next story of the day, which is, it's about the new popular game, which has recently seen a rise in popularity. It is, I'm sure you've heard of it. I know Kavya has played it once, got bored. I know a lot of people who are playing this regularly. My family and I are actually playing it regularly. I'll stop waffling. It's called Wordle. And Wordle is a game where you have to guess a 5-letter word. You will know when you've guessed either a letter correctly in the right position or you've not guessed the letter right at all. And with using those hints, you have to break down your word and find the accurate 5-letter word which you are guessing. And this game was actually created by a software engineer in Brooklyn named Josh Wardle. And so Mr. Wardle knew that his partner loved word games and created a guessing game for just the two of them to play. And as a play on his last name, he named it Wordle. But after the couple played it for months and after it rapidly became an obsession in his family's WhatsApp group, once introduced it to his relatives, Mr. Wardle thought he might be onto something and released it to the rest of the world in October. And on the 1st of November, 90 people played. And on Sunday, just over 2 months later, more than 300,000 people worldwide have played Wordle. And it's been a meteoric rise for the once-a-day game, which invites players to guess a 5-letter word in a similar manner as the Guess the Color game Mastermind, which I'm sure some of you might have heard of. And I think the really cool part about the story was that what started off as a gift to his wife, a really creative gift coming from a software engineer, has turned into one of the most popular games in the world. And I just found it to be a really cool story. And with that, I will pass it for our next story titled Phone Chargers.
Thanks, Trivik. The next story I have for you today is something really interesting because while it's not been of top priority in these times, it is something that has been a very, very big part of COVID and has had a lot of increase because of COVID, and that is disposable trash. Like, for example, masks and used syringes and gloves and face shields, etc. And that has contributed to so much waste for the environment. And I think being able to find a creative and sustainable way to use these is something that would be really, really beneficial. And Taiwan's Fubon Financial Holding Company and MiniWiz have found a way to do that by transforming recycled face masks into phone chargers. I'm not entirely sure how the science of this works, but I think it's a really, really cool idea if they have managed to do it, because phone chargers are obviously something that we use every single day of our lives and now are such a big part of our lives. So the fact that they're being able to create those out of something that out of waste of something that we are using every day is really, really cool. Maggie Montgomery, a WHO technical officer, told journalists, "We found that COVID-19 has increased healthcare waste loads in facilities to up to 10 times, and that transforming local waste into a valuable product is the ultimate goal." So I think this is a really, really cool initiative, and hopefully it is able to go a long way and hopefully does inspire people to also come up with more creative ways to use waste. With that, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back on News Kids on the Block.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks to endocrinologist Dr. Altamash Sheikh. They discuss the various triggers for thyroid diseases and ways to keep our bodies safe from hypothyroidism. On Misconduct, we meet Unniyarcha, legendary warrior of Malayalam literature. Raghavi and Nisha tell us how she took revenge against the man who killed her brother. On Press Decode, Sarah Vagda and Prafulla talk about illegal immigrations with reference to the Indian family that died while crossing the US-Canada border. On Ikka Dukka Economy, Abhinav and Dr. Junjunwala discuss the MSP farm law and its repercussions. And on Say No to Drama, Chetna tells us how we can make peace with the bad habits we just can't seem to quit. Also, just one quick announcement for everybody. We would like you to check out the new version of our Android app. It's available on the Play Store. It's a really interesting take on how to listen to podcasts. Do give it a look and let us know what you think. We're open to feedback on all of our social media channels. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, do remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Word of mouth really does help. And don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. And we have a number of channels there at ivmpodcast.com/YouTube where you can take a look at them. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Bank of Baroda and CoinSwitch Kuber. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block, where we bring you all the top news stories of the week. Coming up post this week, I guess, is the much-awaited 2022 Beijing Olympics. There are, of course, hundreds and thousands of athletes from all over the world, but from India, we only have one representative, and that is, like I said, Arif Khan, who is from Kashmir. He is currently 31 years old, and he says in an interview to Beyond, he said that I will be going for the Olympics and representing 1.4 billion people. I started skiing back in 1994, and since then I've never looked back. I continue my training across Europe, and since 2008 I have professionally been into this sport, and I've also been training for the Olympic Games. I've participated in World Championships and international level games, Asian Games, and other continental championships. And after more than 127 participation, I have realized that I could be one of the best athletes in the world. He also added in that same article and interview that he's very happy with support and the training facilities and everything that the government has provided them. And I think that this kind of shows the fighting spirit and the diversity of India, especially in something like sports, where, Indians are stereotyped as not necessarily being as good as it. And of course, we prove people wrong in the Summer Olympics, as we saw. But it's also sort of something like skiing, which you wouldn't really peg, or see that in like an Indian context to have a representative there. So we wish him all the best, and it will be fun to watch. So with that, we'll hand it over to Ms. Hebbar for the next story of the day.
Thanks, Anya. The next story comes to you from the world of science and space. I think one question that has always been very relevant, but also seemed like it's never going to be a question that has an answer, is how many black holes there are in the universe. I personally never really expected to find an answer to this, but a recent study by the Italian Research Institute, SISSA, has shed some light on this question. A series was published in the Astrophysical Journal. The first paper investigated the demographics of stellar mass black holes, which are basically black holes, have a mass between a few to some 100 solar masses that originated at the end of the life of massive stars. And according to new research, a remarkable amount of 1% of the overall ordinary matter of the universe has been locked up in black holes. And researchers have found that the number of black holes within the universe at present time, which is observable, is 4 followed by 19 zeros. But as the authors of the research explained, and I quote, this important result has been obtained thanks to the original approach, which combines the state-of-the-art stellar and binary evolution code, SEVN, developed by SISSA researcher Dr. Mario Spera, to empirical prescriptions for relevant physical properties of galaxies, especially the rate of star formation, the amount of stellar mass, and the metallicity of the interstellar medium. And I think this is really cool because it's just showing us, like we've talked about in the past, that even the questions that you think can never be answers, that you think can never be found, with growing technology, with science developing even further, there are no limitations to what can and cannot be done, which is really interesting.
And with that amazing reporting from Kavya herself, I will take it on for the last story of the day, which is transfers wrapped up. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, at 11 p.m. GMT on the 31st of January, the European transfer deadline day officially shut. All transfers were wrapped up. We saw a lot of big moves actually this window. And actually, my club, Liverpool, finally had some transfer business. If you remember back to when we were initially doing these stories, I was really depressed that Liverpool weren't signing anyone. We signed Luis Diaz and ecstatic about that. I think the other notable transfers which happened this window were Ferran Torres joining Barcelona, Julian Alvarez going to Man City, Tottenham Hotspur signed Kulusevski and Bentancur. However, they lost out on a lot of their big targets. PSG did not sign anyone, as did, while Arsenal literally reduced their wage bill by half from the start of the season and didn't sign anyone replacement. It's going to be, we'll see how that whole situation works out with their lack of squad depth now. But yeah, big transfer window for a lot of clubs. And I also saw a couple of deals fell through. For example, Fabio Carvalho moved to Liverpool on the final day. But overall, a very entertaining transfer window for neutrals, and wouldn't say an all-timer, but definitely one of the best.
That is all we have for you today on this episode of News Kids on the Block. We hope you enjoyed. A special shout out to the person that tirelessly edits and covers up all our mistakes. Happy belated birthday, Chetan.
And we also want to give a quick shout out and a quick good luck to Arif, who will begin his journey this Friday. Go smash it, Arif.
Don't forget to tune in to us every Friday for our fresh take on the news from across the globe.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other podcasts on the IVM network.
You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
We'll see you next week. But till then, do share this episode with your folks. Stay safe. And don't forget to do your homework.
Habits? Routines? How exactly do they help us get better? Well, to simplify it for you, tune in to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor and I'm going to be here to help you get better daily with some simple, easy to do habits that you can easily adapt to your life. So tune in to the Habit Coach podcast from Monday to Friday because I believe that awesome lives start with awesome habits.
You're the people pleaser, right? Or then desperately seeking the one? Oh wait, you're the one who doesn't think they're ever good enough. So much drama. And for what? Is it doing you any good? Listen to me. I'm Chetna, your favorite positive action coach. Yes, I'm the one who has been dropping all those truth bombs on every episode. And it's time you learn to say no to drama. That's also what my podcast is called. And a new episode is out every Monday and Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, as well as all major podcasting platforms.